Well, we finally got our first glimpse at a fully healthy Lakers team, finally getting LeBron back after missing their first 13 games, or rather 14 games, coming back from that sciatica and making a pretty good impact in his debut. Dropping 11 points, not that much for himself, and did look a little bit rusty right away, but did a great job in the playmaking role, dropping 12 assists to only 1 turnover, making some absolutely beautiful passes to DeAndre Ayton, coordinating and running their offense to perfection, really quarterbacking it during the second half, and really hoping to get their offense back on track, as they weren't doing too much on defense. I mean, they looked completely lost on defense during the first half, particularly during the first quarter. I talked about it entering this game tonight. If they would in fact go with the starting lineup of LeBron, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, and DeAndre Ayton, I was pretty worried about their defense. And well, that was the group they went with, and it immediately turned out pretty bad on defense. The rotations were not good, the switching and help defense was not good, the individual defense was not good, LeBron getting blown by on defense, Luka getting blown by, Rui and Austin Reeves too. But slowly but surely they did lock in a little bit more, mainly offensively rather than defensively, but it was enough to overcome their early deficit, giving up 36 points to Utah during the first quarter, 35 more during the second quarter, entering halftime giving up 71 points. But eventually their offense simply became too much for Utah to handle. They themselves were not a great defense and are not a great defense in general, and the Lakers found a way to overcome that and really apply a lot of pressure to them, ultimately shooting 59.5% from the field tonight, between the assisting and playmaking ability of Luka, LeBron, and Austin on the court, combining for a total of 23 assists tonight. Again, 12 of them from LeBron, 10 of them from Luka, only 1 from Austin, and he definitely got moved into more of the third option role tonight, at least in regard to playmaking and point guard duty, but he still found a way to be effective and definitely found opportunities to score on the court too, ultimately ending with 26 points, going 7 of 11 from the field, very efficient, 1 of 4 from beyond the arc. And then for Luka, obviously their de facto point guard, de facto scoring option, de facto everything on the court offensively, ending with 37 points, 10 assists, 4 steals, and an absolutely atrocious foul call that got overturned. That was probably the worst review I've ever seen in my life in the NBA. Getting tackled by 3 guys and somehow getting the foul called on himself. But he found a way to overcome it. Again, 37 and 10, 11 of 22 from the field, only 2 of 10 from beyond the arc, but found a way to get to the free throw line once again, attempting 16 free throws tonight, making 13 of them. Austin also shooting 12 and making 11. The entire team was very efficient. Great showing off the bench for Jake Arabia. 16 points with 4 rebounds and 2 assists, coming off the bench and knocking down 2 3-point shots. Definitely was their most effective bench player tonight, especially with the best all-around game in my opinion. Kind of shocking that he was the only wing player off the bench for them, unless you want to count Marcus Smart as wing. They didn't play Jared Vanderbilt, he was a DNP tonight, didn't even get garbage time minutes, didn't play Adu Thero tonight, didn't play Dalton Connect. So this might be their new look rotation going forward, with LeBron back in the rotation, with the wing combination and wing rotation being himself, Luka Doncic, Rui Hachimura, and then Jake Arabia off the bench, currently excluding both Jared Vanderbilt and Dalton Connect, which is really not that surprising in my opinion, given how little Vanderbilt's played, and given how poorly Dalton Connect's played, for the most part, really not that shocked about it, and, it might be a matchup dependent thing, and I imagine that probably will be, but more often than not, they probably both will be a DNP, or get very little, if any, regular playing time with those 4 back on the court. Again, being LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Rui Hachimura, and Jake Arabia. And again, I probably would look to make a few minor changes apart from that. The main one being their starting lineup and the option and the 5th guy in there, not with Luka, LeBron, Austin, or DeAndre Ayton, but with Rui Hachimura. Not to any fault of his own, but it's simply not a good role for him. Offensively, it's fine, obviously, he can fill that role for them, that 5th option or catch and shoot and off-ball player, but defensively, taking on the toughest wing matchup is simply not a role that I want Rui Hachimura to fill, and probably not a role that he himself wants to fill. So in my opinion, I definitely looked at in Marcus Smart, maybe even Jake Arabia, given that he's probably their best 3-and-D option. Isn't the most reliable one, but at this point probably is their best one. So maybe pick between one of them to give their starting lineup a bit better of a defensive look and some more defensive mindset to start the game out and to set the tone on defense too. as this game was a pretty ugly start for their defense and for the starting lineup's defense too. So ideally, would look to add a more defense-minded player in there, like a Marcus Smart or maybe Jake LaRavia. Overall though, I'm definitely not mad at the season debut for LeBron, coming back tonight and definitely making an impact, more so offensively than defensively, but finding a way to fit with Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. Obviously they played together and now they're trying to find their way back to that, with a new look team around them and with a slightly changed offense too. Little by little, it will improve and will build off of their performance tonight, but I like the baseline that they set tonight, the offense, that the way it looked, and even the defense at times, but again would definitely like a little bit more improvement in that regard. Overall, I'm not mad at it though. LeBron looked good, their offense looked good. For the most part, I think their team was pretty cohesive, and they definitely have a lot to build off going forward. So with all of that being said, I'll let you hear from JJ Redick and the team about their win tonight and how they can improve going forward.
JJ, there was that stretch to start the fourth quarter, and I think in about 5 minutes, LeBron had 6 assists and almost a seventh when DeAndre tipped it back in. What were you seeing from him as he kind of grew in comfort quickly in the game, and just the DeAndre and LaRavia reacting ahead and play with him before, right? And he's kind of setting them up for buckets. What did you see from that, and how did that typify his night?
Just thought he played with the right spirit, very unselfish all night. Was a willing passer, didn't force it, took his drives and his shots when they were there. There's the defense is going to pay attention to him, particularly when he has the ball in the post, particularly when he's putting pressure on the rim. And I just thought he made a lot of great decisions tonight. Really good to have him back. And it was a weird, not a weird game, but it was a game that we kind of expected in terms of their movement and their shooting. This is a team that has scored over 150 points twice in the last 5 games going into tonight. Obviously one of those was a double OT game, but they can really score the basketball. And they're a different team to guard because of how much they run off-ball actions. And, Markkanen is a fantastic player. You see him play in person, you game plan for him, and you do everything you can, and he doesn't get tired, and he scores 31. It's a tough team to guard, but I thought that's where we won the game. We challenged the guys at halftime. They had 71. It was 16 over what was the expected score. They made some tough shots in the first half, but the challenge was to guard. And up until the last 3.5 minutes, we held them to 36 for that half. So that's a credit to the entire group. And then you brought up the passing to Jake and DeAndre, but I thought during that run to end the third, start the fourth, it was Smart, it was Jake, it was Jackson, it was Gabe hitting a couple big threes. Like our 4 guys off the bench really helped us during that stretch.
What was better defensively in the second half? Like what was the adjustment, if any, or and how did kind of LeBron?
I thought we were more physical. I thought the cadence of what they were trying to do, we started pattern recognizing a little bit, but the physicality was where it started, and we started honoring the game plan. Like we did to start the game. They made some shots, and we just kind of overreacted. It's honestly very similar to the ways that Golden State bends you, where you're so concerned with them making jump shots that you just start making up rules, and all of a sudden there's a rip slip, and all of a sudden there's a layup, and all of a sudden there's a miscommunication. And I thought when we started the second half, they made some shots, but again, those were tough contested shots, and then we got into a nice rhythm defensively of getting stops.
JJ, we've spent a lot of time over these last 14 games talking about your team's energy and your team's spirit together in the way that, and obviously when you add a piece as big as LeBron, like it does sort of change the overall recipe. How did you feel about like the intangible sort of energy and attitude of your group tonight? And how did you feel it kind of like, I don't know if crescendo's the right word, but like kind of rise, throughout the game? Sorry, I haven't taken music in a while.
After the game, just waiting on the guys to get back to the locker room, I think the word we were using as a coaching staff was our poise as a group. Not not overreacting, not pulling apart, problem solving, all that stuff in real time, and just continuing to play. And that at times was missing last year. And for us to get that on the first night was really good. Doesn't mean we're going to be perfect. It doesn't mean again, it goes back to the farmer thing. You got to water this thing. but it's good to see first game back with everybody healthy, just a collective spirit, a collective pull, all in the right direction. It was good.
Feel?
Wind was a little shaky to begin. Obviously, that was expected, but as the game went on, my wind got a lot better. Caught my second wind, caught my third wind. Rhythm is still coming back, obviously. First game in quite almost 7 months. So, everything that happened tonight was as expected. I think the pace, versus a team like Utah who played with a lot of pace, a lot of movement, a lot of cutting and things of that nature, tested me, obviously. I was happy the way I was able to, keep up with the guys.
Outside of the X's and O's, one thing about you is you've always prided yourself on being available. Just from a joy and fun standpoint, what was that like for you?
It was just fun to be out there with the guys, man. Like I said, it's been rough, mentally for me. It's the first time I've started a basketball season and not played since I've started playing basketball, 9 years old. I've never missed the beginning of a basketball season, and so. Just going through that, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and everything, just tested me, and just keeping my head down, with the work, and then keeping my head up with faith. It's gotten me to this point today, and it's just great. A lot of joy, a lot of probably see me smiling and talking a lot on the court today. Just being out with those guys is so fun.
Being a willing passer is nothing new for you, but what did you think of the early chemistry you saw with Jake? You found him on wing 3, and then obviously late in the game with DeAndre. It seemed like you guys had some early connections.
Yeah. Said it was at yesterday's practice, post-practice. I can fit in with anybody. I don't even understand why that was even a question. What's wrong with these people out here? I can fit in right away with anybody. So, just watching the guys the first 14 games that I missed, the first 14, just watching them and seeing. I was just putting myself in position, while I was watching the games of how I can help the team and how I can be successful to help those guys. And, I still, able to gain a lot of eyes when I'm driving the ball or have the ball, things of that nature. And, I had a big fella down there, big 5 down there, and my guy Gabe right here, obviously, and Jake, our second team. We went out there and kind of pushed the lead up. That was good.
LeBron, you've scored more points than anybody, but along those lines, you've always been a player who likes to create for other people. What kind of opportunities do you think are going to be there for that part of your game with the kind of offensive firepower you have on this team?
It's going to be whatever. I think when you have a MVP caliber player, candidate like Luka, what he's doing this year, AR has jumped his game up to a whole nother level this year. It's only so many defenders out there. There's only so many eyes that can key in on so many guys. So, our biggest test is how we defend each night, how we defend and rebound, and then not let teams off the hook offensively. And you got, like you said, when you have Luka doing what he's doing on pick and rolls, his ability to gravitate so many players around him, I can just wait back and just when the ball swung to me, I can play the pick on game as well. Be able to play the numbers game, 4-on-3s, 3-on-2s, and get my guys involved.
As this season continues, what do you want to build on with yourself and with getting in shape? But
what do I want to build on?
Yeah, what do you want to build on?
My wind. My wind is important, obviously. I don't have to worry about chemistry-wise. It's a great group. Everybody, yes, sir, my God. Everybody enjoys being around each other, playing for one another, sacrificing for one another. So, I think my win, get my rhythm back. I missed a couple chippies tonight that I'm used to making, but that will come with more games and more flow.
JJ said that over the summer. You guys had multiple conversations about how important it is for you to be challenged. Mm-hmm. That's how your brain works, and you always want to be challenged. What do you view as your biggest challenge this season?
My biggest challenge this season? I don't know, just staying in the moment. Just staying in the moment. Obviously, at where I'm at in my career and where I'm at, year 23, and understanding that, there's not many more games for me. Don't know when that is, but, just staying in the moment, just appreciating the opportunity to go out and play the game I love to play and be around a great group.